Hey, didn't see you there. Welcome back to Daily Devotions with DZ. Today we're on day number 24 of our 365-day journey. If you're just getting started with me, you can get started on day 1 in our playlist. Pick up there. If you don't feel like it, like I said, this is day 24. You can pick up with us now. I suggest that you go back so you can kind of catch up on the history of Jesus with us. But hey, it's America. Do what you want. Before I get started, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to this channel? Hit that big red button, help me out. Go ahead and leave a comment. Let me know how you felt about today's devotion. Hit that bell button so the next notification comes up when my video comes. And, hey, while you're at it, go to my Patreon and subscribe to that at www.patreon.com/youngnemo. Hey, thank you. You guys are great. And we're picking up today. We're going to be picking up in Genesis. We're going to be reading chapters 48 and 49. That's right, we're starting off in Genesis, chapter 48 and 49. Let's get started with that. Now, that's what I call an intro. Chapter 48. Jacob blesses Manasseh and Ephraim. One day, not long after this, word came to Joseph, "Your father is failing rapidly." So Joseph went to visit his father, and he took with him his two sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. When Joseph arrived, Jacob was told, "Your son Joseph has come to see you." So Jacob gathered his strength and sat up in his bed. Jacob said to Joseph, "God Almighty appeared to me at Luz in the land of Canaan and blessed me. He said to me, 'I'll make you fruitful, and I will multiply your descendants. I will make you a multitude of nations, and I will give you this land of Canaan to your descendants, after you as an everlasting possession.' Now I'm claiming you as my own son to these two boys of yours, Ephraim and Manasseh, who are born in the land of Egypt, because I have arrived. They will be my sons, just as Reuben and Simeon are. But any children to you born in the future will be your own, and they will inherit the land with the territories of their brothers Ephraim and Manasseh. Long ago I was returning from Padan Aram. Rachel died in the land of Canaan. We were still on the way, some distance from Ephraim. So great was sorrow, I buried her there beside the road to Ephraim." Then Jacob looked over to the two boys. "Are these sons yours?" he asked. "Yes," Joseph told him. "These are the sons God has given to me here in Egypt." And Jacob said, "Bring them closer to me so I can bless them." Jacob was half blind because of his age and could hardly see, so Joseph brought the boys close to him. And Jacob kissed and embraced them. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "I never thought I would see your face again, but now has God let me see your children too." Joseph moved the boys, who were at their grandfather's knees, and he bowed with his face to the ground. Then he positioned the boys in front of Jacob, with his right hand directed to Ephraim toward Jacob's left hand, and his left hand he put on Manasseh at Jacob's right hand. Then Jacob crossed his arms, and he reached out to lay his hands on the boy's head. He put his right hand on the head of Ephraim, though he was the younger boy, and his left hand on the head of Manasseh, though he was the firstborn. Then he blessed Joseph and said, "May the God before whom my grandfather Abraham and my father Isaac walked, the God who has been my shepherd all my life to this very day, the angel who redeemed me from all harm, may he bless these boys, may he preserve my name and the names of Abraham and Isaac, and may their descendants multiply greatly throughout the earth." But Joseph was upset when he saw his father place his right hand on Ephraim's head. So Joseph lifted it to move it from Ephraim's head to Manasseh's head. "No, my father," he said. "This one is the firstborn. Put your right hand on his head." But his father refused. "I know, my son, I know," he replied. "Manasseh will also become a great people, but his younger brother will become even greater, and his descendants will be a multitude of nations." So Jacob blessed the boys that day with these blessings. The people of Israel will use their names when they give a blessing. They will say, "May God make you prosperous as Ephraim and Manasseh." And that way, Jacob put Ephraim ahead of Manasseh. Then Jacob said to Joseph, "Look, I am about to die, but God will be with you and take you back to Canaan, the land of your ancestors. And beyond what I have given to your brothers, I am giving you an extra portion of the land that I took from the Amorites with my sword and bow." Chapter 49. Jacob's last word to his sons. Then Jacob called together all his sons and said, "Gather around me, and I'll tell you what happened to each of you in the days to come. Come and listen, you sons of Jacob. Listen to Israel, your father. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my strength, the child of my vigorous youth. You are first in the rank and first in power, but you are unruly as flood, and you will be first no longer. For you went to bed with my wife, and you defiled my marriage couch. Simon and Levi are two of a kind. Their weapons are instruments of violence. May I never join in their meetings. May I never be a party to their plans. For in their anger they murdered men, and they crippled oxen just for sport. A curse on their anger, for its fierce, a curse on their wrath, for it is cruel. I will scatter them among the descendants of Jacob, I will disperse them through Israel. Judah, your brothers will praise you, and you will grasp your enemies by the neck, and your relatives will bow to you. Judah, my son, is a young lion that has finished eating his prey. Like a lion he crouches and lies down, like a lioness who dares to rouse him. The scepter will not depart from Judah, nor the ruler's staff from his descendants, until the comings the one whom it belongs, to whom all the nations will honor. He ties his foal to a grapevine, the colt of his donkey to a choice vine. He washes his clothes in wine, his robes in blood of grapes. His eyes are darker than wine, and his teeth are whiter than milk. Zebulun will settle in the seashore, and he will harbor for ships. His borders will extend to Sidon. Ischar is a sturdy donkey, resting between two saddle packs. When he sees how good the countryside is, and how pleasant the land side, he will bend his shoulder to the load, and submit himself to hard labor. Dan will govern his people like any other tribe in Israel. Dan will be a snake beside the road, a poisonous viper along the path that bites horse hooves, so its rider is thrown off. I trust in you for salvation, O Lord. Gad will be attacked by marauding bands, and he will attack, but he will attack them when they retreat. Asher will dine on rich foods, and produce food fit for kings. Naphtali is a doe set free, that bears fruitful fawns. Joseph is the foal of a wild donkey, and foal of a wild donkey at a spring, one of the wild donkeys on the ridge. Archer attacked him savagely, and they shot him and harassed him. But his bow remained taut, and his arms were strengthened, by the hands of the mighty one of Jacob, by Shepherd the rock of Israel. May the God of your father help you. May the Almighty bless you with the blessings of heaven above, and the blessings of the watery depths below, and the blessings of the breasts of the womb. May the blessings of your father surpass the blessings of ancient mountains, reaching the heights of the eternal hills. May the blessings sit on the roads of Joseph, who is a prince among his brothers. Benjamin is a ravenous wolf, devouring his enemies in the morning, and dividing his plunder in the evening. These are the 12 tribes of Israel. This is what their father said as he told his sons goodbye. He blessed each one with an appropriate message. Jacob's death and burial. Then Jacob instructed them, soon I will die and join my ancestors. Bury me and my father and my grandfather in the cave in the field of Ephron and Hittite. This is the cave in the field of Machpelah near Mamre and Canaan that Abraham has bought from Ephron the Hittite as permanent burial site. There Abraham and his wife Sarah are buried. There Isaac and his wife Rebekah are buried. And there I buried Leah. It is a plot of land and the cave that my grandfather Abraham bought from the Hittites. When Jacob finished this charge to his sons, he drew his feet into bed, breathed his last breath, and joined his ancestors in death. Woo-wee! So there has been chapters 48 and 49 of Genesis today. We'll pick up in 50 tomorrow. Let's go ahead and move on to Matthew. So today we're picking up in Matthew chapter 15, verse 29, and we're reading until chapter 16, verse 12. You guys ready for this? Jesus heals many people. Jesus returned to the Sea of Galilee and climbed a hill and sat down. A vast crowd brought him to the people who were lame, blind, crippled, who couldn't speak, and many others. They laid him before Jesus, and he healed them all. The crowd was amazed. Those who hadn't been able to speak were talking, the crippled were made well, the lame were walking, and the blind could see again. And they praised the God of Israel. Jesus feeds 4,000. Then Jesus called his disciples and told them, I feel sorry for these people. They have been with me for 3 days, and they have nothing left to eat. I don't want to send them away hungry, or they will faint along the way. The disciples replied, where will we get enough food here in the wilderness for such a huge crowd? Jesus asked, how many bread do you have? They replied, 7 loaves and a few small fish. So Jesus told the people to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves of fish, thanked God for them, and broke them into pieces. He gave them to the disciples, who distributed the food to the crowd. They ate as much as they wanted. Afterward, the disciples picked up 7 large baskets of leftover food. There were 4,000 men who were fed that day, in addition to all the women and children. Then Jesus sent the people home, and he got into a boat and crossed over to the region of Magadan. Chapter 16. Leaders demand a miraculous sign. One day the Pharisees and Sadducees came to test Jesus, demanding that he show them a miraculous sign from heaven to prove his authority. He replied, You know the saying, red sky at night means fair weather tomorrow, red sky in the morning, foul weather all day. You know how to interpret the weather signs in the sky, but you don't know how to interpret the signs of the times. Only an evil, adulterous generation would demand a miraculous sign, but only the sign I will give them is the sign of the prophet Jonah. Then Jesus left them and went away, east of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Later, after they crossed to the other side of the lake, the disciples discovered they had forgotten to bring any bread. Watch out, Jesus warned them. Beware of the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees. At this, they began to argue with each other because they hadn't brought any bread. Jesus knew what they were saying, so he said, "You have so little faith. Why are you arguing about each other about having no bread? Don't you ever understand even yet? Don't you remember the 5,000 I fed with 5 loaves, and the baskets of leftovers you picked up? Or the 4,000 I fed with 7 loaves, and the large baskets of leftovers you picked up? Why can't you understand that I am not talking about bread? So again I say, beware the yeast of the Pharisees and Sadducees." Then at last they understood what he wasn't speaking it was about yeast in the bread, but about the deceptive teaching of the Pharisees and Sadducees. Whew! So we'll pick up here at verse 13 tomorrow. Let's go ahead and read our psalm for the day. Today we are reading Psalm 20. In the times of trouble, may the Lord answer your cry. May the name of God of Jacob keep you safe from all harm. May he send you help from his sanctuary and strengthen you from Jerusalem. May he remember all your gifts and look favorably at your burnt offerings. May he grant your heart's desires and make your plans succeed. May we shout for joy when we hear your victory and raise a victory banner in the name of our God. May the Lord answer all your prayers. Now I know that the Lord rescues his anointed king, and he will answer him from his holy heaven, and rescue him by his great power. Some nations boast of their chariots and horses, but we boast in the name of the Lord our God. Those nations will fall down and collapse, but we rise up and stand firm. Give victory to our king, O Lord. Answer our cry for help. That's awesome. So let's pick up at Psalm 21 tomorrow. Let's go ahead and finish up today with our Proverbs. So we're actually finishing chapter 4 of Proverbs today, and we're going to be picking up at verse 20 until verse 27. My child, pay attention to what I say. Listen carefully to my words. Don't lose sight of them. Let them penetrate deep into your heart, for they bring life to those who find them, and healing their whole body. Guard your heart above all else, for it determines the course of your life. Avoid all preserved talks. Stay away from corrupt speech. Look straight ahead, and fix your eyes on what lies before you. Mark out a straight path for your feet. Stay on the safe path. Don't get sidetracked. Keep your feet from following evil. Yes. So that has been day 24 of our daily devotions. Before you leave, like I said, leave a like, comment, subscribe to this channel. Hit that bell button for a notification when a new video comes up. I got some ideas of some pretty cool stuff coming soon. Go ahead and subscribe to my Patreon at www.patreon.com/YoungNemo. Yeah, I appreciate you joining with me. You guys are great, and I'll see you on day 25. Whoop.